Hi, if you are interested in playtesting or you have written a game and you need to playtest it, you're in the right place. Today's topic is test setups. What's a test setup? A test setup is a scene or an environment used to test the rules and mechanics of a game. Today we're going to look at 4 approaches to setting up a playtest scene or environment. Approach number 1, table and dice, or the table and dice setup. Number 2, a Discord setup. Number 3, Foundry VTT setup. And number 4, a Tabletop Simulator setup. A lot to cover. Okay, so let's get started. Table and dice setup. This is the least expensive and most commonly used test setup for ttrpg playtesting. Items needed: a table, dice. Different games are going to require you to use different dice, different playtests. You might need to use different dice. So have a selection. Also, you might need some specialized dice. These are not the normal D10s, D20s, things like that. There's other types of dice. So make sure you check in the playtest docs and find out exactly what is specified. Now, speaking of the playtest docs, playtest docs can include many things. Among them, you're going to find things like the scenarios that they need tested, the mechanics and rules that apply to given scenarios, character sheets, test sheets for recording results, or calculating hits or other things that they might want calculations for. In addition to all of that, you're going to need things like a pen or pencils. You might want to consider a drink and a snack, and you might need a notebook or two. Okay, and that's for overall. A little bit of a pro tip, you might want to keep some toy soldiers and toy animals around. These come in handy. And probably the last but not the least is tokens. Now, you can make a fancy token with a piece of wood or something like that, or you can just simply use a coin. Or you can use the toy soldiers and their toy animals. However works best for you. Now, I want to do a how-to on this, but you have to understand that this is a very simplified how-to. But it at least gives you a starting point. Okay? Now, begin by placing a grid pad or paper on your table. Now, the reason for these is that they give you a surface that you can write on and that specifies basically your play area, where you're going to put things. Next, you want to place your tokens on the play area, and you want to lay them out in whatever scenarios are specified in the playtest. Then, what you're going to do is you're going to use the rules and mechanics as listed in the playtest docs to complete a playtest. Just go through the whole thing, and then what you're going to do is write down and record everything that's required in the test docs, as well as your experiences, your pain points, broken rules, your test setup that was used, the date, a summary, and any constructive criticism. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, before we move on from this point, I would like to take briefly a moment to talk about software. Now, the next 3 setups are all software setups. That means that they're going to require you to learn some of the software, learn how to set up the play areas, and things like that. So there's going to be more of a learning curve. However, the reason why you might want to consider these is number 1 is that there's no put up. You don't have to take your table apart every night and then reset it up the next time you want to play test. So big bonus there. You can just, you go on your desktop, you click, and you've got it coming up, and you can get to work. The other is that it is virtual. It's online, and excuse me, that means that your players can be anywhere. They can be in other states, other countries, and you can have your games, and you can, it's just a lot easier to host your games virtually and have people from wherever they are pop in, and it's easier to schedule them. So there's a lot of advantages to the next three setups. They're all software, but there's disadvantages. Okay, Discord setup. Discord is basically a nice, low-cost way to do playtesting. It doesn't cost you anything for the Discord itself. You will, however, probably put out a little bit of money for maps and images and things like that. Or you can use free ones. There's plenty on the net. First off, what do you need to do? First off, you have to go over and sign up for a Discord. Okay, so what do you need to set up in your Discord? You're going to need to set up some voice rooms, text rooms, and you're going to need a dice roller app. You're also going to want to set up some roles. An admin, a moderator, and a playtester role. You might want others, but at least those. Other channels that you might want to include a journal, showcase, tutorials, feedback, fan art, announcements, and social media. Now, let's talk about the text channels that we're going to set up for actual playtesting. You need at least one voice channel and a text channel with a similar name. The purpose behind this is the voice channel you're going to be using for the gameplay and the chat, and the text channel you're going to use for scheduling, test documents, stat blocks, maps, etc. Now, on maps, while I'm speaking of them, there is a limit to 10 megabytes on those, so if your maps are larger, you may want to put them on an external site and then use a link to connect to it in your Discord. Okay, let's take a quick tour around. Okay, now, the voice and the text. Now, I have 3 sets of those on here. I have one for myself, for when, if I were to use it for playtesting, which, as I said earlier, I'm not. I'm using my Discord mostly for support, but it's easily set up for playtest. Up here, I have the Chaz916 tabletop and the Chaz916 tabletop chat. So as you can see, that's a text and a voice, and it's set up that way so that I can easily do playtesting. I also have a setup down here for other playtesters or guest playtesters and member playtesters that they can use these for testing. I have a table 1 and a table 1 chat, table 2 and table 2 chat. Not hard to set up, it just takes a little bit of work. Now, as I said, you're going to want some other things as well. Let's take a look at some of those. Here I have my social media one, and I have this set, and I put all my social media. If you are playtesting any game, you're going to probably want to have those up there as well. Let's see. I also did a journal, and as you can see, I'm playtesting some stuff now, and that's what you can use this for. You could also put these up for playtesters if they're very productive. You might want to give them one. You'll have to figure that on your own. For tutorials, I have one down here. I call it How to Playtest. And in here, I'm putting up videos. And as I develop them on how to playtest, I will be putting them in this channel. Okay, you might also want something like a feedback channel. This comes in really handy because you're going to want feedback from the other playtesters. And then, like I said, fan art, things like that. Now, also, like I said, you need a dice roller. This is the dice roller I'm using, but there are quite a few different ones out there. This one has the commands right here. For using the bot, you just type them in, and you're all set to go. Now, I did test this out just to make sure it was working. I have that over here. As you can see, I tested it here. In the actual tabletop area, and I rolled a d6, and the result was a 5, and sum is a 5. If it was like 2d6, the sum would be different. But this just shows you this is how it's going to look this one, but obviously other dice rollers may look different. Okay, let's see. I think that covers all the basics. So we're going to leave it here, and we're going to move on. Foundry VTT setup. Okay, so Foundry works pretty well for playtesting. It does require some learning and some setup in order to be able to use it effectively. You will also need maps and images to go with it. Has also one more downside, and that is that it is a paid app, meaning that you're going to have to put out a little bit of money. Good news is it's not a monthly, it's a one-time cost, and you get updates free. Okay, so steps. What do you got to do? Well, first off, you'll have to go purchase it and install it on your computer. When it comes time to playtest, you get it set, and you have it set up. You can use it to connect with other people online and do your playtesting and all of that kind of stuff. So it works really good for this kind of thing. It takes a little bit of work to get everything set up. Okay, so let's take a little bit closer look at all of this. Before you can get started, you will need to download a game system. Now, if you're playtesting like a mod or an adventure and it's for a specific game, you'll probably find a game on here. They have many of them. When I was playtesting stuff for D&D, I just downloaded a D&D. If you're playtesting for Iron Sworn, or you want to do a Starforge, you can use that test setup for them. If by chance you are doing a game that is new, like I am, then you might want to consider simple world building. It's basically a really simple system, doesn't impose a lot of rules so that you can do them yourself, but it also works well as a starting point for building your scenes, for building your playtest area, everything like that. Okay, so next, what you're going to need to do once you've got your game system installed is you're going to need to create a world. Now, I have created two, and the one that we're going to look at today is called Playtest, and I'm going to sign in as a game master. I did not put a password on this. We're going to join it, and this is the basic setup for the simple world, and it's not really the game one that I wanted. We need to set that up. So in order to playtest your games, you're going to want to set up a scene. So you'll set up a scene. In this case, I just created a scene as the background. I used a map that I got from Dungeondraft. I simply did an auto-gen, created a map, and I just started using it. Reasonably simple. Does take a little bit of knowledge. Now you can get plenty of maps and images off the internet. There are plenty of places to get them. If you're looking for images, try Pixabay. If you're looking for maps, just type in maps. You'll find lots of them. Some of them cost you a little bit, some don't. It's up to you. One of the good things about this map that I generated auto is there's no decorative stuff. This comes in handy because that stuff is distracting when you're trying to playtest. So think about that before you go spending a lot of money on a really fancy map. Get simple maps for playtesting. It works better. You don't have to worry about it. You can always use theory of the mind and say, hey, I need a door here. And you can just mentally put the door there. You don't have to go through and have fancy maps to do your playtesting. It's actually counterproductive. At least in the beginning. Later on, that might change. When you're doing more detailed stuff. Okay, so, let's see. I'll give you some of the basics that I'm aware of and that you'll probably need to know. And up here, you've got combat encounters, you've got chat messages, you've got scenes, actors, items, journals, rollable tables, card stacks, music, playlists, condominiums. So you got plenty of stuff that you can build and work on as you're doing your playtest. And for the playtest, which of course you can share with your fellow playtesters. Okay, so I did mention in an oracle, if you are building a solo game or if you are building a game that has solo tables in it, they are not hard to make. I created one really quickly on here. Let's see, rollable tables, and here we go. And here's the rollable tables. It's a yes, no, likely or unlikely type of table. It's a very simple oracle. Once I created the table, I used a macro and I put it and made it so that I could click it from here. So I can just click and it rolls it, and then you can go over here and you can see the results. So I rolled a d6, I got a 5, so the answer was a yes or likely. So as you can see, this was a pretty decent setup for checking the basics, for doing things like rollable tables, whether you're using it as an oracle or you're using random tables. It's a pretty decent way to do your basic playtesting, and the advantages to this are pretty simple. As I said before, with software, you don't have to put your table away at night and then reset it up on your next session and stuff like that. So, and also it's much easier to connect with players who may be not in the same location. So if your playtesters are scattered all over the country, it's much easier to playtest this way. Okay, I think it's time to move on to the next one. Tabletop Simulator Setup. Now, I haven't actually used this one personally. I mean, I haven't set a table up in it, so I really can't give you the information on that. However, I would like you to visit How to Prototype in Tabletop Simulator, Introduction and Overview by Ludolodge. Now, I'm going to put the link for that down in the comment section. He does an excellent job, and I do not want to reproduce his work for you. Just go there, take a look at it. It's on YouTube. It will help fill in some of the gaps that I'm going to be leaving in this short kind of an introduction. Tabletop Simulator is basically, it is a 3D program that gives you a tabletop and you get to build it, and you can do all kinds of things with it, and it comes complete with all kinds of default parts that you can use. It has game boards and dice and figures and tiles and tokens and all kinds of things that you can use, and card decks that you can use to playtest your games. Now, you will need images for this. The images could be for your tiles and your coins and tokens and all that kind of stuff, as well as maybe some maps and scenes to use on the game board, and a background map for the room. Okay, so this one does have a little bit of a learning curve, so you will need to kind of consider that. Again, you can get images on Pixabay, and there's plenty of places to pick up maps. First off, these are a couple of suggestions that he gave, and that is select the default table. A good start would be the rectangular table. And if you check out his video, you will find that that's, what he's saying, not me. Though he would know much better than me. For tokens, he recommended using tiles. I don't know personally on this one. Again, I'm just going by the things that he said and the experience that I had at his table, and I saw a lot of potential in the use of that table, and I even purchased the software, but I have not used it as yet for any kind of a playtest system or playtesting other than what I did with him. So I wanted to bring it up because it is a very viable one. I think it could be very useful. and I just wanted you guys to know about it. And if you have any experience at using it as a playtest or as a playtest setup or prototyping, hey, feel free to put that in the comment section below. I would really like to see some of that. Okay? All right. Moving on. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Basically, this is the end of the overview of the 4 test settings, any from simple ones to more complex ones. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions, please let me know. If you're interested in playtesting opportunities, let me know. Put a little comment down there. If you found this video helpful, like it and subscribe it to help support the channel and also to help support more of these videos, which brings me to, if you would like to see more in-depth videos like this one, also leave that in the comment section below.